hey, if you're a healing art practitioner, you know it's not just about your skills in the healing arts. It's also about growing and housing a business that allows for that service to exist. So I am Julia Thie with Healing Art Practice Success, and I'm here today to help you find your focus. Take that one action step that puts you in the positive direction toward growing a business that feels right to you. Let's hop right in. This is a video that's a companion to this workbook. So maybe you found this video through the workbook, or if not, I invite you to hop on over to juliathie.com. It's on the home page. So if you want to press pause and do that and hop right back in. My man Einstein, I always go back to him because to me, it's not about efforting toward success. It's about being the best me I can be. So let's focus on that. So I invite you to walk through, take the actions today that I am going to walk you through and see what happens. Now, you may be one of these many types of holistic practitioners. I love all these types of therapies. But no matter what it is that you use as your tool to turn disconnection into connection, to turn illness into wholeness, whatever it is that you use, we all have some of the same challenges. So here are a few, and take a look at these and think about what is your current challenge. Maybe you don't have enough appointments to fill up a calendar the way that you would like to. Or maybe you get them in, but they're not coming back regularly. They're leaving before the miracle happens. Or maybe you're just overwhelmed. You're like, the way you set up your business isn't sustainable and you're like getting ready to burn out. And these are all fixable. Maybe you're a little nervous about making a change. People are used to the way that you've always been doing it. Or maybe you're not sure if a new venture might work. Or maybe you're just like doing the same thing day in, day out and you want to do something different. Well, there are ways to make changes to all of these challenges. And we're going to address these really quickly today. So what do you do when there's a person with a problem in your field, right? So you do an intake, you make an assessment and diagnose where they are. And then you have to choose, what can I focus on first? I can't just do everything all at once. So, and then once you take your focus and you say, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on, you have to define that focus with an action. In the workbook, you see the business life phases. So really, I'm going to ask you as we go along to diagnose which of these phases you find yourself in. And just like our lives, it's a natural growth of energy. So infancy, like you see here, might be the beginning of your practice, or it may be the beginning of something new that you want to try. So it's kind of like a blank slate, right? You've got all these different things, and you know if you put a lot of energy behind something and not really sure which way you're going, it'll just splatter. So the most important focus when you're starting something new is to ask for clarity. So an action step that would go along with asking for clarity might be to create a survey. If you have an email list, you can send out a list. Say, hey, I was really thinking about offering this service. Would you be interested? And that way you don't get too far into something without being able to get some feedback. It's really important. And the next phase of business is adolescence. And what ends up happening is you're seeing your appointment book isn't really filled. There's not a lot of regularity. There is no rhythm to your work. You might be booked one week and then not the next. People aren't always coming back. So what you want to do here, if you are kind of new to practice or kind of new to a new type of practice, is to create some consistency with what you do. Now, this could come in the form of something as simple as confirm your appointments, right? That's probably the simplest thing I can think of. But of course, action steps should always be broken down into their simplest. There's lots of ways to create consistency, and confirming appointments is one of them, so that people can catch your rhythm and then they know what to expect and how to come and use your services, because that's what we want. We want them to get better. So the next phase is parenthood. Now, if you're in parenthood, you're probably overwhelmed because you've set up your business in such a way that you're doing everything, right? You're fully booked, maybe even getting to the point where you're at a waiting list. I remember when I got there, and you can't give more care, right? There's one of you, and you come home and you kind of collapse on the bed. And that feels good. I mean, you feel like, yeah, this is problems of abundance, but how could you change it up so that more of your energy would be available to give service? And so I used to joke about being the lady of perpetual laundry back when I had a massage practice 25 years ago, and just over and over, just always doing laundry. Well, could you delegate the unnecessary? So are you making all of your confirmation calls yourself? Well, there are electronic systems that can do that for you. So what I want you to do in your action step, if this is you, is to choose 2 tasks that really you don't have to do. And there's lots of ways to do that. And I love helping people walk through how to create those systems and how to hire people correctly. So just know that you don't have to do it all. And when you start unburdening yourself, then really your energy is freed up to do more of what you're gifted to do. Now, cresting. What is this? What's happening? And this is what I also think that happens in that midlife crisis, quote unquote, is where you have a gift to give and it's pounding at the door, and you must reach out through the fence and offer it. So to do that, your focus is to rise without apology. So I dare you to take what you do and redefine it. Go ahead and elevate your service and stand in your power to do that. So the action step here to rise without apology can look a lot of different ways. But how about something as simple as getting out a piece of paper and just write it out? Write out your method and start to see how you might want to do that. And I do have some programs that help people do that. Now, the last phase is maturity. So in maturity, you see how the arc is starting to come back down, and it also creates some extra leftover energy for you to give back. So as your effort declines in your practice, because it takes less to do, you can then start to share your authority because you have now become an authority in your skill. So how could you either mentor someone who's maybe new to your field, or maybe helping out some people who are interested in what you do and maybe creating a group? So the way that you can do that is select one thing that you probably take for granted, that people compliment you on a lot, and share that skill with another person who may be struggling. Now, all of those challenges all have a focus tool that can go with them. So all of these phases. So if you're starting out and you're trying to fill your appointment calendar, then you want to start asking for clarity. Having patients return regularly in adolescence, right? If they don't know how to come back, can you create some consistency in your life that will then reflect back to them? Now, maybe you're overwhelmed in parenthood and you need to delegate out something that you don't need to do. Or maybe you feel that knocking and you're a little afraid to make that change, and it's time to crest. It's time to use your voice and rise without apology. Or maybe you need some stimulation, that day in, day out of maturity. Maybe now that energy needs to go out somewhere. And can you share your authority either to the public or in someone in your field? So think about that. So the 3 things that you need to make this happen are to make small changes of focus. Remember, I was saying how they are defined action steps. Because it's one thing to say, I'm going to ask for clarity. But what does that mean? What does that look like? I call it boots on the ground. All right. And so then the other thing I would ask you to keep is a whole bunch of openness. It's really easy to get into a rut and think that it can't ever be different. But if you just open your heart and open your mind, you start to see possibilities everywhere. All right. So in your workbook, you have these discovery notes, and I invite you to write down your answers. You can certainly hop over to the Facebook page and write them in the comments, Healing Art Practice Success with Julia Thie, or you can post them in the comments here in this video. I will do my best to get back to all the comments. And the main thing is, what one specific action can you take in the next week? That's good to put a timeline on it. That'll turn your focus into reality. And just trust your instincts. Don't overthink it. So imagine what happens when you start taking those tiny actions regularly. It starts to develop the practice of your dreams. And what could that look like? And then you start to discover that you actually do have a lot of power of choice because you have your own business. My thought is that the best definition of success is an overflowing cup. So you fill your well with support and receiving value back for the value that you give. And in turn, you can then give that back to the world. I call this being in flow. My newsletter is called the Inflow Newsletter. So I invite you on the homepage of the website to also register, and I'll put a link in the discussion in the comments here in this video to go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. Let's get to know each other better. And then also, if this really rings your bell, you can hop on a focus call with me and we can go over those questions. On juliathie.com/discovery, you can schedule and we'll hop on the phone and just get clear on your next steps. I can tell you a little bit about what it's like to work with me with one-on-one coaching or in some of my group programs or taking some of my online courses. So I invite you to do that. You can register for that Inflow newsletter at juliathie.com. Leave your comments, and I'm just looking so forward to hearing what your challenges are and what you have thought up as an action to take to get you to the next phase of your business. Thanks for watching.